This big emergency news. We are now getting confirmation that we are being targeted. We are being poisoned, and we are having toxic chemicals released into the air, into the water, and it is killing the aquatic life. It's killing the bugs. It's killing all these different animal groups, the plants. What do you think it's doing to humans? All right. And they are now admitting, there's confirmation with this law that was just passed, that they are doing it to us too. They're spraying these toxic chemicals on us all day long, every single day. All right. And this is what I was dealing with just yesterday. I was sitting out in my yard, wanted it to be a nice day out. This is what started happening over my head just yesterday. This is, look, there's picture after picture of this spraying, all right, being released over my head while I'm sitting outside with my family. All right, this is what's going on all day long, 24/7. And why does this just stop like this? Why does it just stop? If this is just a contrail, how did it just stop? Why is it stopping right over my property? Sprayed right over my property, right overhead, and then they stopped spraying. And this plane was not on radar. I was looking at radar. Look at this video, blocking out the sun too as well. And it just stops right over my property. This is not a coincidence. This is targeting, and this is releasing dangerous toxic chemicals into the air. And I had to bring my family inside. I told my kids, let's go inside. This is crazy. They were spraying like crazy. And I checked the radar. No planes on the radar in this region. That means it has to be a drone, or it has to be the US military that is doing this, or some kind of military plane. They're the only ones that would be allowed to do this operation. All right. And check this out. This law was just passed in the Tennessee Senate. All right. They said that they're going to ban these, quote, chemtrails, and they have an official name. It's called geoengineering, and it's called solar radiation modification. That is where sulfur dioxide is released into the air to block out the sun. And then there is also cloud seeding, where silver iodide is released into the air to produce clouds and make weather fronts and weather patterns. You can even see here, this was in the AP News. Feds spend $2.4 million on cloud seeding for Colorado River. This was last year. Look at this guy. It says Eric Hermstad, co-owner and director of field operations for Western Weather Consultants, adjusts the amount of silver iodide released into the Breen, Colorado, or released near Breen, Colorado. All right. They've been doing this for years. This was in 2016, this picture, and this article is from last year, March 17, 2023, when the feds gave these grants to Western states, right? So they are doing this right now. They're releasing this into the air. They have nodes on the ground, and they're also releasing it into the air with planes as well, okay? And check this out. You saw there it was said he's releasing silver iodide into the environment, right? Right there for the caption for the picture. It says silver iodide. Look this up. Silver is one of the most toxic metals to aquatic life in laboratory experiments. Silver nitrate and silver iodide are particularly toxic, whereas silver chloride is 300 times less acutely toxic than silver iodide. Extremely toxic. You can see here the silver ion is among the most toxic of heavy metal ions, particularly to microorganisms and to fish. It says that silver does not easily dissolve into our environment. Look at this, article after article. This is from AGU Publications. This top one, this is from Water Quality Australia, official Australia government website, .gov.au. All right, you can see here, this is real. Silver hazards to fish, wildlife, and invertebrates. It says the free silver ion, however, was lethal to representative species of sensitive aquatic plants and vertebrates, and Telos, at nominal water concentrations. All right, this stuff is poisoning the water supply. It's killing the plants, and we're breathing it in all the time, and it's accumulating. This is just what's being admitted. Nanoparticulate silver. Okay, silver forms nanoparticles very easily, and that's what's being released into the air. Nano silver particles and sulfur dioxide particles as well, bare minimum. There also could be other nanoparticles being released as well. All right, and that is why Tennessee passed this bill, all right, to ban this geoengineering and this solar radiation modification. All this stuff's real. The federal government admits it's real and admits they're doing it. It's not a theory and it's not a conspiracy at all. People that say that are uninformed. They just don't know. They're uninformed. They don't know what it's called, and they don't know what's actually happening. They're the ones that don't know. We know what it's called: geoengineering and solar radiation modification. All right. You can see here, though, it says the Tennessee Senate passed a bill targeting, quote, chemtrails. It says the bill claims, quote, documented the federal government or other entities acting on the federal government's behalf or at the federal government's request may conduct geoengineering experiments by intentionally dispersing chemicals into the atmosphere. And those activities may occur within the state of Tennessee. All right. And says the intentional injection, release, or dispersion by any means of chemicals, chemical compounds, substances, or apparatus within the borders of the state into the atmosphere with the express purpose of affecting temperature, weather, or the intensity of the sunlight is prohibited. It says the bill is scheduled to go to the House Agricultural and Natural Resources Committee on Wednesday. All right, so this is going to pass. It needs to pass. And it's not a conspiracy. These people are trying to negate it. Yes, there are things called contrails, and they disperse very quickly. They disappear right away. That is a natural reaction of water vapor. Okay, but these programs are out in the open. Check out this article that was published on whitehouse.gov official website on June 30th last year. It says congressionally mandated report on solar radiation modification. It says the White House Office of Science and Technology is releasing a report in response to the congressional mandate from the Appropriation Acts. It says the report, which was developed in coordination with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and other federal agencies, identifies critical knowledge gaps and scopes potential research areas that could improve understanding of risk and benefits posed by solar radiation modification. All right. And they're seeing here, they're doing tests on it, and they're admitting, it says determining climate and environmental impacts of solar radiation modification deployment, assessing potential societal outcomes and ecological consequences, examining how research might be done in cooperation among internal partners. All right, these are real programs happening. It's undisputed, 100% real. I've been talking about this for years. And check out this, all right? They admit they use sulfur dioxide to block out the sun right here, coming out of Reuters. Can solar geoengineering stop global warming? It says that they are proposing to blast sulfur dioxide, a quote coolant, that's what they're saying, into the higher reaches of the atmosphere, into the stratosphere. All right, that's what they're trying to do with solar radiation modification. But check this out. Sulfur dioxide creates acid rain. Acid rain is caused by a chemical reaction that begins when compounds like sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides are released into the air. These substances can rise very high into the atmosphere where they mix and react with water, oxygen, and other chemicals to form more acidic pollutants known as acid rain. This is on the EPA website. Okay? It's caused by sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides in the air. And now we're saying, hey, it's a coolant. Let's release sulfur dioxide into the air. Another name they have, I forgot about this, stratospheric aerosol injection. That's their other name. They have a few names. Here's another one. One of my favorite articles that this was in 2022. White House is pushing ahead research to cool the earth by reflecting back sunlight. October 18th, 2022, I remember making a video on this, and everyone thought it was crazy. I remember I lost a bunch of subs from it because people were like, oh, this isn't happening. This isn't going on. It's real. It's happening, and people need to know about it, and we need to say, no, we don't want this. All right, so hit it up for me down there, guys. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'm posting multiple times a day, keeping you guys updated on this big news, all right? And it's important. Get this message out. Get this message out. They're doing this. Look at this. It says stratospheric aerosol injection involves spraying an aerosol-like sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere. Because it has the potential to affect the entire globe, it often gets the most attention. Yeah, they're altering the weather patterns. They're destroying the natural weather cycles that we have. They're destroying them all. They're mostly gone. So we're in a situation where they have to do this, or we're not going to have any natural weather patterns at all unless they keep doubling down. We are entering a very dystopian era when it comes to this. And the other thing as well is that they actively enhance hurricanes and cloud seed hurricanes, okay? In Santa Barbara County, California, they got caught cloud seeding hurricanes in January of last year, and this hurricane, I guess it wasn't technically a hurricane, but it was right there on the edge. It's caused massive flooding and destruction in California, and people's entire neighborhoods and sections were gone, wiped out, all right? I've showed the documents on here many times, all right? There's even been slip-ups where Biden has slipped up and said that they're going to use the full force of the government to manipulate the weather and cause destruction and make these tragedies even worse. He said that when he was standing in front of a bunch of destroyed homes in Florida last year, all right, from a major hurricane. This stuff's happening right now. And this idea that I really pushed, that just came to me one day a couple years ago, that I really started pushing, was that it just clicked in my head. They're using things like HARP. They're using high-powered radio waves to heat up these systems, right? They're targeting them. They even have these radar systems, Klystron systems, all these different systems for hurricanes, things like that. And their own radars and radio waves heat them up and can manipulate them. And then they also spray tons of silver iodide. Silver is the most electrically conductive element on Earth, even more than gold, has more electric conductivity than gold, right? I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. And they spray silver iodide into the atmosphere and then charge it with things like HARP, with all these high-powered radio frequency antennas that are installed all over the world and all over the country. These 5G antennas, these radio tower, these cell phone towers, they're all over the place. These radar towers, they're everywhere. And these operate, a lot of them, on a microwave frequency as well. And what do microwaves do? We know what they do. They excite atoms, right? And they also produce heat from that excitement, right? So they are manipulating these things as well. And then they're also magnetically reactive, potentially, and electromagnetically reactive because they are charged up with silver. All right, so this is happening. We are living in the 21st century. They have these technologies that they're using, but they can't just come out and say it. They have to just allow it to be in our faces for decades until it's normalized, right? Until people just accept it and say, well, I guess they have to do it, or it's not going to rain and the crops aren't going to grow. All right, this is a situation that we're heading towards, and this is even a weapon. All right, this could be used to wipe out properties, wipe out homes, and then also be used militarily. All right, they are taking water away from places as well. This water has to come from somewhere. All right, that's a major issue with this cloud seeding, is that you're forcing clouds to produce where there's no clouds being produced naturally. So that means there's not enough moisture and humidity in the air for the cloud to be produced. So where's that moisture coming from? You're forcing the moisture to gather in the atmosphere into a cloud. So that has to come somewhere. Most likely it is sucking moisture out from plants, from the ground, right? From these other sources. It's probably taking moisture from them and just putting that small amount of moisture that's supposed to be there now in the atmosphere. That might not even turn into rain and might never fall back down in this area. So it also could be creating more, making things more dry in the long run as well as we do this, because we're kind of stealing the moisture, the deep moisture that's part of the earth. In the earth, we're kind of tapping into that all the time, tapping in the moisture of the plants as well. All right, so let me know what you guys think of this. I'm telling you, this stuff I was out in my yard with my family, and they started spraying like crazy right over our heads, and they would stop when they were not over us. This is crazy. And these planes were not on the radar. Whose planes are these? If this plane was doing this, it would be, the military would be on it. If this plane, the way it was flying around so crazy, spraying all this crap everywhere, they should be on it. So that means that the military must know about it, must be allowing it to happen, right? I want this to stop. I do not consent to this. I do not want my family, I do not want the water to be contaminated. Your crops are being contaminated. Your animals, everything's being affected by this. All right, so please hit it up for me down there. Get this word out, and let's get this to spread to other states. Let's get other states passing this, banning this. I think Connecticut already passed this legislation as well 6 months ago. I remember reporting on. I'm pretty sure it was Connecticut that passed similar legislation where they can't spray this junk into their skies, right? So if everyone passes it, or at least half the states pass it, then they're going to have to stop. There's going to have to be some kind of change, because this stuff's spraying into other states as well. It's affecting everyone. It's affecting the entire world. These experiments that these mad scientists are doing with our planet. All right, so get prepared now, guys. Hope you have big blessings for your life, your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.